Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening to you wherever you may be. Happy Friday. It is July 4th weekend, one of my favorite holiday weekends of the year. I hope you are all doing well out there. Welcome to another jam-packed episode of the Brew City Lounge. As always, I am your host, Brandon. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. Go ahead and follow the show on Facebook, on Twitter. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Brew City Pod. Very, very, very excited to have you guys tuning in. If you are on the live stream, good evening, happy Friday, happy weekend, happy extended weekend, and happy 4th of July weekend. If you are listening on your smart device, wherever you may get your podcasts, thank you guys so much for tuning in and giving my show a listen. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be here talking about our favorite teams. Of course, I'm talking about those one win away from the NBA Finals, Milwaukee Bucks, and boy, does that feel good to say that out loud. And of course, always the hottest team in baseball right now, the Milwaukee Brewers. Lots to talk about, lots to break down. The Bucks, like I just said, one win away from the NBA Finals. We're going to talk a little bit about that. What does Game 6 mean? Game 5 win. We're going to talk about the Giannis injury. I'm going to kind of reflect on that a little bit. Wasn't able to talk about the show when it first happened. So I want to talk a little bit about that injury, what it meant for me, my morning after that injury. Brewers, winners of 9 straight wins. They are actually in play right now. They are up 3-1 right now. So the Brewers, the hottest team in baseball right now, just coming off of sweeping the Chicago Cubs, having a monster divisional game over or a divisional lead in the NL Central. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then going forward, if Giannis is not able to return to the starting lineup or to the lineup in general, can they beat the Atlanta Hawks? More importantly, if they do beat the Atlanta Hawks, can they win a championship? So we're gonna talk about all of that stuff. I got to let you guys know if you keep forgetting, it's okay. I'm going to remind you, and that's what I'm doing here. The Brew City Lounge officially has its own merchandise. So hop on over to our Facebook page, our Twitter page. The URL is posted. The link is posted up there at the pinned at the top of the page. Hit that link. Shop for your favorite clothes, your favorite apparel, cups, mugs, all kinds of cool stuff. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to do a July 4th sale, so be on the lookout for that. And also, the show is also partnered up with the good folks over at Fanatics. Follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. You can hit that Fanatics link. Shop for your favorite sports apparel. They got 65% off right now on selected items. So hop on over to Fanatics and shop for your favorite stuff. But I did tell you that we were going to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, and it just feels really good to say this. They are one win away from the NBA Finals. Now, I haven't been able to say that much. The last time I did say that, I was about 10 years old back in 2001 when they lost Game 7 to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Bucks do win Game 5, 123-112. Just a fun game to watch, anxious game leading up to that. You were curious to see how the Milwaukee Bucks were going to respond without their leader, without their MVP. And they just absolutely, they did everything that they needed to do. They did everything and more. Bobby Portis came in. It was a spark plug that we knew he was going to be, we knew he was capable of being. Brook Lopez, I mean, 33 points speaks for itself. A handful of blocks, 7 rebounds. And look, you got 2 guys that are on the Olympic basketball team, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. This was going to be a game that they needed to show up in. Offensively, defensively, leadership, locker room, being that voice, being that guidance. Look, Giannis is out and he's on the sideline, and he looked a little spry, had a little spry in his step. He looked pretty good for a guy that really almost destroyed his knee, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But the Milwaukee Bucks are one game away from the NBA Finals. Again, just feels really good to say that. Game 6 tomorrow in Atlanta, 7:30 tip-off. I believe Trae Young is probably going to play. I know today they came out and said he was questionable. But I do believe Trae Young will probably play in that game. And obviously Giannis has been ruled out as doubtful. We're not going to see him probably until Game 7. If there is a Game 7, Chris Haynes did report that just about an hour ago. I do want to talk a little bit about that Giannis injury and what that meant for me and kind of reflect on that for a minute. Look, I understand that like sports, it's a game. Teams win, teams lose, players play, and you watch a game, you root for your team, and then you go on, and live your life and go to work and take care of your family. And we get it. We understand that it's a game. That injury was different for me. I've seen a lot of injuries. Unfortunately, being a Wisconsin sports fan, most of you guys understand that that's part of the game. It is what it is. It's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to break a collarbone. Brett Favre is going to break a thumb. Jabari Parker is going to tear an ACL. You're going to see injuries throughout the course of watching sports. But that particular injury hurt me in a different way. And I don't know if I'm crazy. I don't know if I'm being dramatic. I don't know if I just love Giannis so much that maybe I'm just being a little bit over the top with it. And if you are on the live stream, you can go ahead and drop your comments on what you thought about that Giannis injury, how it affected you, maybe the night of, the next morning. And I understand right now, looking back at it, he's okay. There's no structural damage. All his ligaments are intact. He's possible to come back for a Game 7 in the event that they can't close it out in Game 6 in Atlanta. So again, moving forward, looking ahead, I know he's okay. He's all right. But watching him wither in pain on the court, watching Thanasis carry him off the court, looking back at everything that this guy has been through. Now keep in mind, if you're not a Giannis fan or if you're not a Bucks fan, you probably have an idea, but you probably don't know the true story of Giannis. And I would highly recommend checking out Finding Giannis, the TNT. It's like a 22-minute long video of what it took, what was happening while Giannis was being discovered, how they found Giannis and discovered him to be what he is now. You talk about a guy that, was selling jewelry on the streets of Greece to help his family survive. Talking about a guy that shared basketball shoes with his brothers in games because they couldn't afford to go and buy multiple pairs of shoes. Now I get it. Again, everybody has a story. Not everybody, not one person's story is worse than the other. They're all different in their own respectable way. And I understand that. Giannis just holds a different place in my heart. We saw a guy that barely made it to the NBA. What I mean by barely is his parents were denied visas twice. And then the rule is denied a third time, you're never going to get one. So it took the last time for them to get approved for a visa for his parents to come into the United States. And he had said if his parents don't get approved, that he was not going to he was going to go back to Greece and not play in the NBA. So we were very close to never seeing who Giannis was. So it was that's the start of it. And then you look at, for a Milwaukee Bucks fan point of view, and if you guys are Bucks fans, you know exactly what I'm about to say. We've never had a guy that was our guy. We never had a guy that was the MVP. We never had a guy that had his own shoe line. We never had a guy that had every reason in the world, if he wanted to leave and watch, go play with the Lakers or go play with Miami or the Knicks or a large market. A guy that's never won back-to-back MVPs decide, hey, this is my hometown. This is my city. This is where I want to live, and choose Milwaukee and sign that Supermax deal. We've never had that. Now I got a couple comments on the live feed. Might shout out to my dad. He's saying I'm being so over dramatic, and that's fine. But that's what Giannis means to me. It might not have to mean that to you. That's what he means to me. Now, a lot of these people are the same people that said Giannis wasn't going to stay in Milwaukee, and he did because he was loyal. So as a Bucks fan, we've never had a guy like this. We've never had a guy with MVPs, Defensive Player of the Years, his own shoe line, a superstar. We've never had it. Ray Allen was good, but he was never a superstar. Jabari Parker never formed into be what he was supposed to be. Kareem was back in the 70s. Oscar was back in the 70s. Basketball wasn't as popular and as demanding as it is now. So we've never seen this. And we've seen a guy who goes in and does his job, and he does it to the best of his abilities, and he does it really darn good. And he gets blasted by everybody. National media, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do this. And even some local people, you know, all the things that he cannot do. And he goes out and he does them. And everything that he does, everything that he can't do, and he's still winning MVPs, going to Eastern Conference Finals, winning Defensive Player of the Year, one of only 3 players to win an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year award in the same year, joining Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan. And to see that guy who does everything right, who goes about his business, who's loyal to his family, who's loyal to his fans in Milwaukee, who's loyal to the city, to the state, to see him go down with that injury on the floor when they're 2 wins away from an NBA Finals appearance, the first time since 1974. To see a guy that's given it his all every single game. I talked to Jared Greenberg a couple weeks ago, and he said the thing that he is most fascinated, Jared Greenberg, TNT, NBA on TNT reporter, he said the one thing that sticks out to him more than any other player than Giannis is that his effort on both sides of the ball. He said you just don't see it. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can hit up the show on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and you can find that episode. And Jared Greenberg says, like, the thing that sticks out the most between Giannis versus anybody else is the effort he gives you both on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. So again, you're a guy that giving you his absolute everything, who's been through everything. And to see him go down with that injury, it gutted me. It killed me. I shed real tears on multiple occasions because at the time, I know where we are now. I understand that he's okay, and I understand that he's not going to die. I understand all that stuff, and if I'm being dramatic, that's completely fine. But that's what Giannis means to me. He's my favorite athlete that I've ever watched. He's my favorite person in sports that I've ever covered, that I've ever watched, that I've ever rooted for. I want him to succeed so much, not because of my fandom of the Milwaukee Bucks, but because of who he is, what he stands for, the people he looks out for, the things that he does. I mean, he's just different, and he's different in his own great way. And I want him to succeed. I want him to have the success. Yes, I want a championship. Yes, I want a parade down Wisconsin Avenue. Yes, I want to buy an NBA Finals championship hat and shirt and tell my kids and my grandkids eventually that I got to watch Giannis win a championship. I want all of that, absolutely. But I also want it because of him, because of who he is. And when he went down with that injury and he got hurt and he was withering in pain, that hurt my feelings. That hurt me. Now it's some of you guys may come on here and say it's sports. It is what it is. And I get it. You're not wrong. But it goes beyond sports. It's off the court. It's off the competition in what they're competing in. Basketball, football, whatever. It's different. Giannis is just different. And everything that he's been through, everything his family has been through, all the struggle that he got before becoming an NBA superstar, even after becoming a superstar, you can see the hate that the guy gets because he doesn't shoot free throws in 10 seconds or because he can't shoot a 3-pointer. And he gets all the hate and criticism for a guy that does not have a skill, because that's what I'm told. But what he does is produce MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year awards, his second Eastern Conference Finals appearance in 3 years, on the cusp of an NBA Finals appearance, 1 win away. So in your words, if you guys are on the live feed, let me know some of the comments you have, maybe some of the thoughts. We got one here who's on Twitter, on YouTube, AR12, shout out to him. He says, I was completely gutted. I don't consider myself a huge basketball fan since I don't watch regular season basketball, but my goodness, watching Thanasis carry him off got me. You're absolutely right. And I got goosebumps just by reading your comment, because that last part where Thanasis is literally bracing him and carrying him off the court. If you don't know what those two have been through, if you don't know the struggle that they had coming up, if you don't know the things that they had to endure, remember Giannis in his first year in Milwaukee, he was technically homeless, like wasn't homeless on the streets, but he was sleeping at the Cousins Center. He was sending all his money back to Greece so his family could survive and he could help his family while he wasn't there in Greece. The guy's just different. He's just different. I know LeBron was a multimillionaire in high school, and a lot of those athletes at that time, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, they were millionaires before they graduated high school, and they were living in the United States, and it was a different atmosphere versus Kobe, versus Giannis and anybody else. And my buddy Chris, who hops on, appreciate you, man, for tuning in. He's over on Facebook. Again, you can follow the show on Facebook at Brew City Pod. He said it's always tough seeing the best get injured. And I agree. Like, injuries suck, but we know they're going to happen, and it's part of the game. You never want to see injuries, especially at this point in the NBA playoffs, where the Bucks are one game away. But it was tough. And the next morning, I was very mopey. I was very sad. I was very upset. The day got better as the news kind of circulated that the ligaments were intact. Look, I wasn't worried about this year. Like, if the Bucks don't win this year, okay. Like, they don't win, then it is what it is. I was worried about next year, how he was going to come off a possibly ruptured knee, a torn knee, how he's going to come back and be the same player that has won 2 MVPs and the Defensive Player of the Year award, a guy that relies on his acceleration and the Euro steps, how that was going to affect him long term. That was mainly my concern. Now, obviously, the news came out the next day, and it's positive news. Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports is also reporting that Giannis, in the event that there needs to be a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, Giannis might be available, that he might get the green light. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you saw the injury. I watched it in live time. I saw the screenshots. I saw the slow motion. I don't understand how that knee survived. I don't understand how he's walking around. He was pacing up and down on the court last night watching Game 5 at the Pfizer Forum. Shout out to the Pfizer for being absolutely lit yesterday. The Deer District, as always, I highly recommend, if you're able to get down to the Deer District for a game, Saturday might be the day to go with the Bucks on the cusp. So we are going to talk a little bit about that game. And as you can see, the headline for there is the Bucks are 1 win away from the NBA Finals. Look, it kind of took a team effort last night, but got to give credit where credit is due. Now, Mike Budenholzer, he gets a lot of flack. He gets a lot of criticism. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like it. I don't like when people criticize coaches. I don't necessarily like it when people are calling for certain people to get fired. I don't always know. I know as fans, that's what that's what we do. We're passionate. Fan is short for fanatic. I understand all that, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And last night, Mike Budenholzer had put on a clinic when it comes to coaching. Now, the Bucks do win big in that game, 123-112. Obviously, Giannis didn't play, but your starting 5 is what separated the game. Now, the Bucks went on that monster run to start that game, but your starting 5, you have 4 players with 20 or more points in the starting lineup. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, and Bobby Portis, and then you added in PJ Tucker, but we all know PJ Tucker's in there for other reasons. Brook Lopez led the way with 33 and Chris Middleton with 26. And again, with Chris Middleton, his stat line just is real sneaky. Like, you don't realize what he's doing when he's playing a game, but when he finishes with 26, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists, just another monster game. It kind of quiets the haters. I understand that Chris Middleton has had his struggles, and he probably will eventually have more struggles, and maybe Game 6, maybe Game 7, maybe in the NBA Finals. But Chris Middleton is still a darn good player, and you got to give the credit where the credit is due. And Brook Lopez again last night, which is another question, that begs to ask. I mean, why aren't we seeing this Bucks team that came out yesterday in Game 5? Why aren't we seeing them on a consistent basis with this type of energy and effort? When the Milwaukee Bucks go up against the Atlanta Hawks, now just the Atlanta Hawks, maybe not Phoenix, maybe not the Clippers, maybe not a couple other teams that were in the playoffs. Phoenix obviously advanced to the NBA Finals, but if the Milwaukee Bucks come to these games with the energy and effort that they have consistently, you're better than Atlanta. Atlanta is not better than you, even with Trae Young, even with Giannis on the sidelines. The Milwaukee Bucks are a better team than Atlanta. Excuse me. They're just better. And when you come to a game with a little bit of energy and a little bit of effort, and you hit some shots, you get a loose balls, you do the little things right, you're going to win more times than not. And the series might be over if you show up in game 4 with a little bit more of some energy and effort. This team is weird. Like, I love this team. I don't know what their deal is. That it's like a switch, literally, that just flips. And 1 minute they, are slow and look like they just got out of bed. And the next minute they show up to game 5 and they go up to a 20-5 run. And it's nothing different. You're not getting another player back. You're not losing another player. You didn't have your best player last night. And you dominated. You dominated all facets of the game. Rebounds, assists, points in the paint, turnovers. Like, you led every category that you needed to lead in order to win a game, and you only shot 31% from the three. You only made 9 3-pointers. For a team that, quote-unquote, lets it fly, you only shot 31% last night, and you won by double digits. And for the most part, other than a few moments in that game, you were dominating that game. You were up the Milwaukee Bucks were up double digits for the most part of that game. So it goes to show you how much better this team is. Now I understand. Respect to Atlanta. They're tough. They're well coached. They got guys that can hit shots. Nothing makes me more mad than Gallinari getting stabbed by 100 needles at once with his mid-range game. It absolutely drives me nuts watching him with his mid-range game. It like doesn't miss against the Milwaukee Bucks. But this team showed you last night, even without their best player. Now, I know Atlanta didn't have Trae Young. I don't know if Atlanta's 7-2 without Trae Young. I'm not saying they're better without Trae Young. Obviously, he's a needle mover. He's a top 15 player in the league right now. Maybe better, I don't know. But they seem to move the ball a little bit around a little bit better. They get a lot more guys involved. Obviously, Trae Young is going to hit big-time shots. He's has that 50% percentage with the floater. So obviously he's going to do damage on the offensive side of the ball. But Lou Williams is really good. And Lou Williams is a certified bucket in this league for a long time. And they got guys that can get points. Bogdanović looked healthy last night. He had 28 points. I believe that was his playoff career high. You got Cam Reddish, who's coming back off of the injured list. So, I mean, they got guys that can score. Kevin Huerter, we know what he can do. John Collins has had a really good postseason. He's going to get paid big time. So these are guys that are good. But when you add in a Trae Young, he's a little bit more dominant with the ball. If he's not finding you, there's probably not a whole lot of other players that are outside of Lou Williams in that second group. And again, Trae Young plays 35, 40 minutes a game. So you're not getting a whole lot of run with that second group. So I'm not saying Atlanta's better with Trae Young, but I think having Trae Young in that lineup, it's more centered around Trae Young and what he's doing. And the defense for the Bucks are able to kind of center and circle in on one guy. Now, it was interesting last night because Stephanie Reddy for TNT reported that whoever Drew Holiday was guarding, they were not going to bring the ball up court. Now, that obviously would change with Trae Young. But that also shows you the respect and the credit that needs to be given to Drew Holiday for being able to go out there and be that difference maker for a guy that gave all kinds of fits to Lou Williams. And Lou Williams is one of the better ball handlers in the NBA. So being able to see that Drew Holiday get that respect last night from a defensive standpoint was encouraging to see. I would imagine Trae Young comes back. They're on a cusp of elimination. Bone bruise. I'm not a doctor. I've been told that the bone bruise is nothing to play with, especially in the foot and ankle, and especially the way that Trae Young plays. So I don't know. Again, yeah, everybody's talking about these playoffs having like an asterisk next to them because of the injuries. It is what it is. I don't think there's any correlation to them with the bubble last year and then starting up 2 months later. It's just basketball. It's sports. I mean, injuries are always going to happen. I just think we're seeing a lot of them this year, just because it's just one of those weird years. Like I don't think there's any correlation to either one of the the bubble from last year and the restart this year. I just think it is what it is. And you hate to see injuries. Again, every team in the playoffs right now is dealing with it. I think maybe outside of Phoenix. And I understand Chris Paul is coming back from COVID. He was believe he missed the first 2 games in the Western Conference Finals. But again, he's back. So really, Phoenix is probably the healthiest team. And again, we'll see what happens moving forward, who comes out of the Eastern Conference Finals. Whoever comes out of the Eastern Conference is probably not going to be 100% healthy. Obviously, Trae Young and Giannis, who we've been talking about the last 20 or so minutes, are not healthy right now. Both are questionable. Giannis is doubtful for Game 6. Trae Young is questionable. So, again, we'll see what happens in Game 6. But there's some important things with Game 6. Now, yes, the Bucks have the insurance of not having to win Game 6. It's not a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks, and if they don't win in Game 6, their season's not over. That saying that they had after the Miami Heat, don't play with your food, has never been more true. I don't want to play around with a Game 7. I don't know. I know Atlanta went to Game 7 and beat Philadelphia in round 2, and obviously the Bucks and Brooklyn went to a Game 7 in the second round as well. So both teams are coming off of a series prior with a Game 7. Now, does that play into this? Maybe not so much. I don't know, but I really don't want to have to go to a Game 7. If you have the ability to go into Atlanta, and again, it's going to take everything that you got. You don't have your best player. What you did in Game 5 is going to have to be exactly what you do in Game 6, but even more so. You're on the road. You're in a hostile environment. The crowd in Atlanta, credit to them. They get rowdy. Interesting to see if Giannis not playing. Now, I know I'm not saying the Bucks are better without Giannis. I know they're not better without Giannis. Not an idiot. But when Giannis gets fouled and he goes to the free throw line, and if you just think about it, maybe this is a little bit crazy, maybe it's not. The way that the crowd chants, counts down, 10 seconds, it kind of gets the crowd going. It kind of gets them on their feet. Without them having Giannis shooting free throws, I wonder if that plays into how rowdy they're going to get. Obviously, they're probably going to be on the edge of their seat. They're going to be on their feet. They're going to be yelling as loud as they can. Their team is in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals and 1 game away from elimination. But just kind of curious to see how that plays out tomorrow. Obviously, if Trae Young comes into that game, that's going to, provide a little bit of juice for that crowd. So again, it's not. I don't think the crowd's going to be sitting on their butts because Giannis isn't playing, but it just feels like that crowd gets a little bit more amped up when Giannis is at the free throw line, and then it kind of correlates into what happens in the game. So I did want to get to a couple of keys just for tomorrow's game. If you guys are on the live feed, if you're checking the show out, if you're on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, I want your 3 keys to a Bucks victory tomorrow. And again, a Bucks victory tomorrow puts them in the NBA Finals, and it never has felt more weird to say that in my entire life. I understand 2001, they went to a Game 7 with Philly. We obviously know what happened with that game. The Bucks did not win, and I don't know if they've ever had a better chance than they do now. Obviously, 2019, they were up 2 games against Toronto, lost 4 straight. I don't know. I don't want to put anything out there for tomorrow. I don't like predictions. I understand that that's going to be part of the business, but there's a couple things I think need to happen for the Milwaukee Bucks to win in Atlanta. The question is on the ticker, can the Bucks beat Atlanta without Giannis? And my easy answer is yes, they did it yesterday. But there's 3 things that they need to do consistently to make that happen. And we saw it last night right away. And really, you could put the definition next to Bobby Portis's name. Energy and effort. Energy and effort goes a long way. If you're not hitting shots but providing energy and effort, you're going to probably win that game based off of your talent level. Now, obviously, teams go on and win and lose games because the team gets hot or a player gets hot, and things are going to happen. Consistently, if you are the better team, in this case, the Milwaukee Bucks are the better team. They are superior to Atlanta. If you come there with energy and effort, you're going to probably win, more than likely. It's not a guarantee. It's not a stamp of approval. But if you go there, look what happened in Game 5. There were times where the Bucks couldn't hit shots. There were times where they were 0 for 7 for a couple of minutes. There were times when Atlanta went on a 10-0 run. What happened? You got a loose ball. You got an offensive rebound. You got a putback. You got a tip in. You got an alley-oop. Energy and effort is going to propel you to beating a worse team. In this case, you are better than Atlanta. So that's my first key. Energy and effort. Show up. You're on the road. You're one game away. You're one win away from an NBA championship appearance. I don't know how many players on that Bucks team can talk about getting to the finals. If I'm off the top of my head, I don't know if any of them have been in the finals, to be honest with you. And I'm scratching my head right now. I'm not sure. I don't think they have. So again, show up with energy and effort. Get early too. Don't wait until the middle of the first quarter when you're down 12-2 again. Show up right away. Come out to play. My number 2 key is rebounding the basketball. Now these sound really basic, but that's all it is. You don't have to do anything special. Rebound the basketball. Every game that you've lost in this series, you've lost the rebounding battle. In game 4, the rebounding battle was tied. So again, but it changed the outcome of that game, in my opinion. Now you're letting a team get more attempts off of misses. If Trae Young shoots a 35-footer and it misses, and Capela's getting the rebound and they're getting second, they're getting third chance points, that's turning into points. Rebound the basketball. Last night it wasn't even close. The Bucks out rebounded them 47-40. The game before that it was double that. You rebound the basketball, you're going to win more times than you're going to lose, especially against a team that is not as good as you talent-wise. Rebound the basketball, offensive rebounds especially. Clint Capella, John Collins, they are a magnet to that basketball. It feels like on the offensive side of the ball. Do not give them second and third chance opportunities, especially when you're at home. If there is a Trae Young 35-footer for whatever reason, he loves to shoot them, and I get it, it's a long rebound. Get on your man, box him out, get that rebound, get in transition. Atlanta does not like defending the transition part of the game. They'll foul right away. Get them in foul trouble, get those rebounds, get down the court, and create a little bit of momentum and quiet that crowd. Don't let them keep getting second and third chance opportunities. So again, 1 and 2, simple stuff. Energy and effort, rebound the basketball. It's not rocket science. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're not curing cancer. We're not doing anything special. Easy stuff. And my third point, and it kind of goes without saying, I don't really think it's going to be close. I don't know if it's been close in any game in this series. Points in the paint. Brook Lopez is 7-1. Clint Capella is nowhere near the length, the height, and the weight of a guy like Brook Lopez. Points in the paint. The Milwaukee Bucks outscored Atlanta yesterday in Game 5, 66-36. That is a plus 30 advantage in points in the paint. If you are struggling from shooting, in Game 5, the Milwaukee Bucks were struggling from shooting the outside shot. Again, they only shot 31% from 3. That is well below the 40% average in the regular season that the Milwaukee Bucks are accustomed to. With that being said, if you can't hit shots, if you're struggling to make shots, number 1, that's where the rebounding comes in. Rebound the basketball. Number 3, my final point, my final key to the Bucks winning Game 6 on the road and getting to the NBA Finals, points in the paint. Dominate points in the paint. If you're plus 30 in Atlanta, really, if you're probably anything above plus 15 in that 20 range, you're going to win the game. Dominate the paint, score basically at will if you really want to, for the most part. I know there's guys on Atlanta. I don't want to butcher his name. Okinawa, I believe his name is. He's a rookie off the bench. He kind of comes in and provides a little bit more defense than Clint Capella does, and also with the rebounding. So again, these are easy stuff, guys. Like this is easy stuff. Shout out to Josh. He's over on Facebook. He's tuning in on the Brew City Lounge page. He says, I hope they make the proper adjustments to win this game on the road, giving Giannis enough time to rest and hopefully not forcing him into a Game 7 and the Eastern Conference Finals. If you guys are just tuning in, Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports, if you follow him and you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. He's related to Giannis's fiance or girlfriend. And he is reporting that if there is a game 7, Giannis may be given the green light to play in that game. So kind of with Josh there, you hope there isn't a chance to where the Bucks have to force a game 7. And they can close it out in game 6. But the keys are easy. Energy and effort, rebound the basketball, outscore them in the paint, and you're going to win. You're going to win. If you do 2 out of 3 of those, you're probably going to win. That's how much better you are. And for the love of God, just show up to play. You are a win away from the NBA Finals. You are 1 win away from the NBA Finals. Now, I understand Trae Young's probably going to come back. I understand the crowd is going to be loud. I understand that it's going to be a circus in there. It's going to be nuts. And Trae Young's going to hit ridiculous shots. And Bogdanovich may hit big shots. Stay the course. Provide that energy and effort. Rebound the basketball. Limit them second and third chance opportunities. And score in the paint. And I believe the Milwaukee Bucks, they will win game 6 if they do those things. It's simple things, but it's exciting to talk about. Your Milwaukee Bucks, our Milwaukee Bucks, are 1 win away. 1 win away. And in the NBA Finals, anything can happen. Right now, Milwaukee and Atlanta are the more banged up team when it comes to comparisons with Phoenix, but anything can happen, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Saturday at 7:30. We'll see. Deer Districts could be a party down on downtown come Saturday night and into the long extended weekend. But we are going to transition from one really awesome, fun team to another really fun and awesome team. A first place team, the hottest team in baseball. You see it on the bottom. Brewers are on fire. I don't know if fire is the right word to use. They are winners of 9 straight wins. 9 straight wins. They are 9-1 in their last 10 games. 6.5 game lead right now over the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. Just a really, really fun team right now to watch. Guys like Willy Adames, Jace Peterson. We're calling him on base Jace because that's what he's doing right now. He's on base, it seems like, every time he's up to bat. Luis Urias, all of those guys have been huge. Christian Yelich has kind of been struggling. He's finding his spots here and there, but for the most part, everybody else is kind of picking up the slack. Jackie Bradley Jr. as well is providing a little bit of pump in that offensive lineup. He had a home run today. The Brewers are currently winning 3-1 right now. But I kind of said it going in a couple weeks ago to the show. I said this Milwaukee Brewers team is going to be really darn good if their offense catches up with their pitching. And right now you're slowly starting to see that. You sweep the Chicago Cubs. Now, to anybody else, it's kind of whatever, but the Chicago Cubs have been that team, have been that rivalry for the last few years with the Milwaukee Brewers. You played them early in April and in May and played them 9 games and you won 6 out of those 9 games. And we weren't sure. It was early in the season. Then the season went along a couple of months and now you're in July and you're 6.5 games up against the Chicago Cubs and you sweep them. And I think that again, I told you guys this before, winning your divisional games is a statement. No, I don't care what time of year it is. I don't care if it's April, July, or August, or October. It's a statement. You're saying something with the play on the field. Now, game 1, the offense broke out, just destroyed the Chicago Cubs 15-7 or 15-4, whatever it was. Game 2 was a little bit more of a nail biter, 2-1. But again, Josh Hader, reliever of the month for the month of June, came in and absolutely shut him down. And then you look at game 3, and I actually wasn't watching this game on TV. I was taking my aunt. She had wrist surgery. So I was actually not watching it. It was a day game. And I remember checking my phone and I remember seeing 7-1 or 7-0. And I was like, well, and I remember texting a buddy and I said, I'll take 2 out of 3 against the Cubs any day of the week. Like, I'll take it. That's fine. Yeah. You want to beat them. You want to beat them every time you play them, but taking 2 out of 3 against anybody is good. So I put my phone back down. And I came back and looked a little bit ago, and I was like, oh, it's 7-3. I was like, okay. Brewers are making it respectable. We'll see what happens. It was a bullpen day. It was Aaron Ashby's, first game in the major league. So I was like, well, we'll look at it, and it is what it is. It's not a big deal. And then I remember driving, and my mom's yelling from the back seat. She goes, it's 8-7 Brewers. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then I was like, okay, cool. It was only the fourth inning, I think it was. And I'm like, all right, it is what it is. And then it turned into like 14-7. And then I had, I was reminiscent of that game one against the Cubs earlier in that week. And it just goes to show you that this team is that dangerous. They are that good offensively. I mean, Willy Adames has came in to this Brewers team, and he could argue, even with Christian Yelich on the lineup, that Willy Adames has been the better player this year. And you're probably, right in saying that. Obviously, Christian Yelich has been battling some back injuries, but this team is offensively is sneaking up on the pitching. Now they're tied for 14th with runs. That's kind of where you want them to be. You want them to kind of be there, kind of in the middle, just kind of sticking around. And when everybody gets going, now again, keep in mind you're without Lorenzo Cain, and again, Colton Juan's back on the IL for, I believe, the third or fourth time this season. But you're kind of creeping up there for a team that was, almost dead last or near the dead last in offensive categories and on-base percentage and slugging percentage and average. You're starting to kind of see those numbers creep up to the middle of the pack, and that's all you can ask for because this pitching is still damn good, and it's still probably one of the best rotations, if not the best rotation in baseball. So again, I said it before and I'll say it again, and the offense is consistent where it is right now. Now, I'm not saying the Milwaukee Brewers have to score, 15 runs a game to be where they're at. I think that if they're in the middle area, you're getting 4 or 5 runs right now. I believe that they're at 4.63 runs per game, 4.3. I'll take that. I mean, you're at 6th in the Major League Baseball. And again, what did I say earlier? Pitching. You're only allowing 3.9. That's also 6th best in Major League Baseball. The hitting has caught up with the pitching. And what are we seeing? We're seeing the hottest team in baseball, winners of 9 straight, 6.5 game lead in the division. There's no team with a bigger divisional lead than the Milwaukee Brewers right now. They have the 5th best record in Major League Baseball. So they're doing something right, and it's coming to fruition. When I said that the offense was eventually going to catch up with the pitching, that it was going to be a hard team to beat. Look, Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff. Those are 3 Cy Young category guys that can win a Cy Young. Like, they're that good. If the offense were to catch up, and now we're seeing it again, first place, winners of 9 straight. I believe they finished the month of June with only I think it was 5. I think they were 20-5. Like, they're doing great. And it's kind of what we expected. And this also, keep in mind, this is without Christian Yelich being the Christian Yelich that we're used to. So again, once he gets going, once Lorenzo Cain comes back healthy, once Colton Juan get back on the IL, once this team is playing together, you got Luis Urias. I think you might have figured out your third base with Luis Urias. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Travis Shaw when and if he does come back. Now, I believe he is supposed to come back towards, I think, later part of August. So you may not see Travis Shaw for a while, but Luis Urias has been one of your best hitters and also one of your best defenders. I mean, that defensive play he had against the Cubs, coming all the way from second over to third base to apply the tag with that base hit down the third base line. I mean, that was huge. And that shows you the progression that he has made since Willy Adames has come in. Now, keep in mind, Luis Urias is only 23 years old. Willy Adames is 25. This team is set up for, right now, the present and the future. And it's fun to watch because this is a team that we've said all along, the offense is going to be there. We said it prior to the beginning of the season. And I talked to Matt Pauley of 620 AM out of Milwaukee. And I told him, my concerns were the pitching. I said, I think the offense will be there. I think the bullpen will be there. I still have a little bit of concerns with that middle bullpen. But the pitching has been phenomenal. It's been the best in the major leagues. And now we're starting to see the offense kind of catch up with the pitching. The Brewers do win tonight. They will hit 50 wins. They will be 50-33 on the season. From my understanding, they are up. I think it's 5-1 right now on the Pittsburgh Pirates. So a team, again, like the Milwaukee Bucks that you should beat. There should be no excuses for the Milwaukee Brewers losing in Pittsburgh. But again, you're starting to see how good this team can be and how good this team can be going forward. And they haven't even been healthy all year. I mean, they really haven't. There hasn't been a real stretch to where this team has played all together. Guys that we picked up last year that were having down years, and Omar Narvaez and Avisail Garcia, they're having really good years. They're having, you could say, career years, especially Omar Narvaez. He's been the best hitter consistently, at least for the Milwaukee Brewers in the course of the season. So the schedule is going to get harder as the summer goes on, and I believe August into September is a really tough month as of right now. But that's okay because you're setting yourself up pretty good. Now I don't know. I believe the Cubs have the Cincinnati Reds, but to have a 6.5 game lead in the National League Central, a division which I thought was going to be a 3-team race, and it still very may well be. Cincinnati's sitting at 500, but the Cardinals have just been really bad as of late, and I'm not understanding what's going on there. They're 2 games under 500, so again, the Cubs are kind of on a decline, 3-7 in their last 10 games, and the Brewers are kind of separating themselves from the pack. Not only in the National League Central, but the Major League Baseball, obviously joining San Francisco Giants, who have a pretty good lead in their, not lead in their division, but pretty good record, along with the Dodgers, both at 50 wins. So it's going to be a fun summer, but this is what we wanted. This is what we expected out of the Milwaukee Brewers. We expected them to compete in the National League. We expect them to be one of the better teams in baseball, and they're proving that to be true. And it's going to be about health. Can this team get healthy? Can this team stay healthy? More importantly, can they play together? But I think adding a guy like Willy Adames, doesn't even really, I don't put into words what that guy has meant to the Milwaukee Brewers, not only from an offense and defensive standpoint, and you could argue he's one of the better ones in the major leagues. I mean, I don't have his numbers in front of me. I don't know exactly, what he is compared to a guy like maybe Javi Baez or some of these other guys at the shortstop position. But from an offensive defensive standpoint, from just the eye test, I think he's one of the best shortstops in the major leagues. And Jake's over there on Facebook, and he drops in a comment and says, sign Adames now. And I believe that he's under control for, don't quote me, but I believe it's like 2 or 3 more years. So I think he's going to be sticking around no matter what. But I agree. Like if you have the opportunity to sign Willy Adames, highly recommend doing it because the guy has proven to be one of the best, if not the best so far since that trade. And look, the Milwaukee Brewers have been the best team in baseball since they acquired him. Now, what does that mean? Anything? I don't know, but I would tend to lean that it does. You don't get a team that's been struggling, no energy in the dugout, not a whole lot of swagger going on, and then you bring in Willy Adames, and all of a sudden you're the best team in baseball. There's got to be a little bit of something related to each other. And I agree with Jake, and he's over on Facebook at Brew City Lounge. Definitely want to get Willy Adames signed if he's not signed, but I believe you can check for me if you want. I believe he is signed. I believe he is under control for at least 2 more years, if I'm not mistaken. But with that being said, it's going to be a fun weekend with the sports in Milwaukee. I'm just super excited for this Milwaukee Bucks team. I had to touch on some Brewer talk. I've been neglecting the Milwaukee Brewers for at least a week or so. I'm just so jacked up for the Milwaukee Bucks. Being a Bucks fan in this city, being a Bucks fan for my life, we haven't had many years where we were this good. We didn't have many years where we had arguably the best player in basketball. We haven't had this, and it feels good. And again, you hope that Giannis is able to come back, and if he's not able to come back, if there is needed to be a game 7, that's okay. At least we have him for the long haul. It's really all I care about for the most part with Giannis. I don't want to see a guy that is out for the year or so with the ability to hinder his career. So it was just relieved to see that he was okay. And again, if you were listening at the beginning of the show and you heard my dramatic response to the Giannis injury, I have no apologies because that's how I feel about a guy like Giannis and what he means to not only me, but to the city, to the state, and to this fan base that has been dying for a guy like him. And the same thing with the Milwaukee Brewers and Christian Yelich. We got our solidified superstars. You hope that Christian Yelich gets it going. Again, give him a little bit of a break. Back injuries can kind of stick around, and you never really know if he's completely healthy. But his numbers are starting to creep up. He's starting to do the little things right, and hopefully his timing gets down. Same thing with Keston Hiura. Look, be on the lookout right now, Milwaukee, because I'm telling you right now, Bucks have a really good chance at winning an NBA title, and the Milwaukee Brewers have as good a chance as anybody doing the same thing in baseball if they stay healthy, if they stay consistent, and they do the things that they are supposed to do. With that being said, all we can do is sit and watch and cheer them on and scream and yell and swear and throw stuff and throw fits like I do. But we'll see. It's going to be fun to be able to sit here and talk to you about these two teams. It doesn't get any better than this, man. It really doesn't. This is what we live and die for. This is what we've been begging for. Our two really good teams in our city, and we got them. And hopefully we get to see a championship between one of the two of them, maybe both of them. But we'll wait and see. And to sit here right now and say Saturday, if the Bucks win, they're going to the NBA Finals, just feels so surreal. So hopefully they can get it done for the sake of for everybody and propel this city to heights that we haven't seen in a very long time. Again, 1974 was a long time ago. I was not born, but we'll see. And that will wrap up today's show. If you guys are watching live, if you're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in and dropping your comments. It means everything to me. I do appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. If you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, and you're interacting with the show, thank you. Your retweets, your likes, your shares, thank you so much. It is so much appreciated. And look, one win away. Can the Milwaukee Bucks do it? Stay tuned. We'll find out tomorrow night. A little bit of side note for the show. There will be no shows next week. Again, no shows next week. I believe I think it's the 14th that I return. Let's see here. The 12th. No, I'm sorry. The 13th. The 13th, I'll be back. I will be out in the Wisconsin Dells with my family out on vacation. So there will be no shows next week. You can still follow along on Twitter, on Facebook. I will provide all the updates regarding our teams, regarding our favorite teams and what's going on. And we'll see what happens. But as always, that will do it for today's show. Thank you guys so much. Again, do not forget to subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify. Follow the show on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube at Brew City Pod. I am your host, Brandon. You can follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. That'll do it. I hope you guys have a great night. If you are listening wherever you get your podcasts, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day or evening, wherever the time may find you. And I will talk to you guys very soon. Go Bucks, go Brewers. Have a good one, Milwaukee.